Welcome. Tonight, allow yourself to settle into a place of comfort and peace. Take a slow breath in and a gentle breath out. As you listen to this story, there is nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to do. Just relax, listen, and let your mind drift. On a small island far from the busy cities, there stood an old lighthouse. The lighthouse had watched over the ocean for more than 100 years. Its bright light turned slowly through the darkness every night, guiding ships safely across the sea. The keeper of this lighthouse was a quiet man named Thomas. Thomas lived alone, but he never felt lonely. Each morning, he woke to the sound of gentle waves touching the rocky shore. Each evening, he watched the sun slowly sink into the horizon. And every night, he climbed the winding staircase to light the great lamp at the top of the tower. Tonight was much like any other night. The sky was clear, the sea was calm, and a cool breeze moved softly across the island. Thomas finished his evening tea and stepped outside. The air smelled fresh and clean. Above him, thousands of stars filled the sky. Some shimmered brightly, others seemed distant and mysterious. He looked toward the ocean. The water reflected the moonlight like liquid silver. Small waves rolled peacefully toward the shore. Everything felt still. Everything felt calm. Thomas smiled. Then he slowly walked toward the lighthouse. The familiar stone path crunched softly beneath his boots. A few seabirds rested quietly among the rocks. The island seemed asleep. Only the lighthouse remained awake. When Thomas reached the tower, he opened the heavy wooden door. Inside, the spiral staircase curved upward into the darkness. He began to climb, step after step, slowly and steadily. The stone walls felt cool to the touch. The sound of his footsteps echoed gently. At last, he reached the top. The lamp glowed warmly inside its glass chamber. Thomas checked the mechanism carefully. Everything was working perfectly. The light rotated slowly, round and round, sending its beam far across the sea. Satisfied, Thomas sat in his favorite chair near the window. From here, he could see the entire ocean. Tonight, the view was beautiful. The moon hung low above the horizon. The stars seemed endless, and the water stretched into darkness. For a while, Thomas simply watched. There was something peaceful about the sea at night, something timeless, something comforting. As he gazed into the distance, he noticed a tiny light, far away. A ship. Its lights twinkled softly against the darkness. Thomas imagined the people aboard. Perhaps they were returning home after a long journey. Perhaps they were traveling toward a new adventure. Whatever their destination, the lighthouse would help guide them safely. That thought made Thomas happy. Outside, the wind whispered softly against the glass. The ocean responded with a gentle rhythm. Wave after wave, slow and steady, like a peaceful heartbeat. Thomas listened. The sounds blended together perfectly. The wind, the sea, the quiet turning of the lighthouse lamp. Everything seemed connected. Everything seemed calm. Minutes passed, perhaps even hours. Time moved differently here. There were no crowds, no traffic, no rush. Only the steady rhythm of nature and the comforting glow of the lighthouse. Eventually, Thomas stood and stretched. He looked once more across the water. The ship's lights were now much farther away, almost disappearing into the horizon. He wished the travelers well. Then he smiled. The night was doing exactly what nights are meant to do, bringing rest, bringing peace, bringing stillness. Outside, clouds drifted slowly across the sky, not enough to hide the moon, just enough to soften its light. The island seemed wrapped in silver mist. Everything looked gentle. Everything looked dreamlike. Thomas took a deep breath. The air smelled of salt and sea. It reminded him that some things never change. The tides, the stars, the moon, and the lighthouse standing faithfully beside them all. Soon, Thomas left the lantern room and began walking down the spiral staircase. Step by step, slowly, comfortably. The tower felt warm and familiar. When he reached the bottom, he stepped outside once more. The night remained peaceful. The waves continued their endless dance against the shore. The stars still sparkled above. Thomas followed the stone path back toward his cottage. A soft yellow light glowed from the window, waiting for him, welcoming him home. Inside, the cottage felt warm and cozy. A small fire crackled gently in the fireplace. Thomas sat in his favorite chair. The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you feel safe, the kind of quiet that invites sleep. He closed his eyes for a moment and listened. The distant waves, the gentle wind, the crackling fire, all of it together created a peaceful melody. A melody older than memory. A melody that seemed to say, everything is okay. Everything is calm. Everything is exactly as it should be. Thomas smiled. The lighthouse continued shining outside. The ocean continued breathing beneath the moon, and the island rested peacefully beneath the stars. As the night grew deeper, the world became even quieter. The waves softened, the wind slowed, the stars watched silently from above, and little by little, the island drifted towards sleep. The lighthouse stood strong and steady, its beam moving gently through the darkness, guiding travelers, watching over the sea, and keeping the night peaceful. Now, imagine yourself standing on that quiet island. Feel the cool ocean breeze. Hear the gentle rhythm of the waves. See the soft glow of the lighthouse. Notice how calm everything feels. Notice how relaxed your body feels. There is nowhere to go, nothing to worry about, nothing to do, only rest, only peace, only the quiet comfort of the night. And as the lighthouse beam turns slowly across the sea, you can allow your thoughts to drift, like clouds moving across the moon, slowly, gently, peacefully, and with every breath. You become a little more relaxed, a little more comfortable, a little more sleepy, as the ocean whispers softly in the distance, and the lighthouse continues its faithful watch. You can simply rest and drift and sleep. Good night.